The Black Pennell, an old traditional brown trout and sea trout fly that's been popular for many years. Tied on a 10, 12 and 14. We're tying on a 10. Set the thread at the eye and make 10 touching turns. Remove the waist. Take a prepared black cock hackle. You can see where I've prepared the hackle stem by removing fibres on each side for easy winding. Set it on edge so that the fibres are just touching the thread. Make sure it's on edge and just check where the fibres are. Now bind the stem down the hook shank till the thread comes roughly in line with the point of the hook. Now we'll snip off the waist of the hackle stem, take the thread and continue binding, touching turns. Got a stray fibre there, get rid of it, down to the barb of the hook. Now take some flat tinsel, this is gold and silver, catch it in so that the gold is showing on your side of the hook. As you take the first turn of tinsel, you'll see that it reverses so that the silver side shows out. Make 4 turns down the bend of the hook. Just watch the point of the hook as you go, and then return back over the top in close touching turns to the starting point. Catch in. A couple of turns is enough. Now we'll snip off the waist flat tinsel. We no longer need that. Now take 5 or 6 fibres of gold pheasant tippet, offer it up so that the centre bar is roughly at the tie-in point. Pinch and loop turn and another turn. Now we'll just snug that up so that the middle bar is just touching. There we go. That's a traditional tie-in point. Another turn just to hold it in place. Now we'll take some fine oval silver tinsel and tuck that in under the hook and catch in with the thread. That's just slid slightly as it's been tied with the thread, so we'll push it back under the hook with the thumbnail. There we go. A couple of turns is sufficient to hold it while you do that. Now tighten up and bind it down as you work your way back up the shank of the hook. Another little push there to keep it underneath. If you don't do that, you end up with a lumpy body where the tinsel spirals round. Now we'll get rid of the waist and we'll trim that off. Oop, missed. Do that again. We'll trim that off level with the hackle tie-in point and do a similar trim on the golden pheasant fibres. Now carry on, bring the thread right the way forward to the hackle. There we go. Last turn, tight up against the tie-in point. Now we'll take some black floss. This is a bulk spool of rayon floss I've got. We slide it up the far side so that it's partially trapped and bring a turn over. One there and now one in front. That's tight enough. We'll just slide the floss under the thread turns till it's in place, and we take one more turn in front just to tighten up on it. Now take the floss and wind it down the hook shank to the tail, and then we'll bring it back up. As I'm winding this, I'm allowing it to slide through my fingers in what I call running tension, so that it's always tight, but I'm not really pulling it to breaking point, so it's sliding through my fingers as I go. Now we're tight down to the tail, and these last couple of turns to square it off, just make sure that we leave no gaps as we start to come back up. Now we've reversed direction and we're coming up the hook shank again. Get as even a body as we can. This fly has a slim body, so there's no build up. And now catch in underneath and in front of the hackle. One left hand drop turn. Now we'll pick it up with the other hand and take another turn and another turn. Snip off the waist. Always use the tips of the scissors. Got a spare thread there we go. Now we'll wind the oval tinsel. This is wound in a spiral. Open turns. Try and keep it as even as possible. A, it looks good, and B, if it's not even enough, it can work loose. So keep it as even as possible. There we go. Last turn there. Again, tied off in front of the hackle. Left hand drop turn there and another one. Oop. Change hands there and get the hackle out of the way. There we go. Don't panic. Now we'll snip off the waist again with the tips of the scissors. Notice how I push the thread out of the way with my left hand. Now we'll neaten up that base of thread back to the hackle and forward again. That makes a nice even base. Snip off that spare hackle, otherwise it'll just be in the way. There we go. Set the hackle pliers on to the tip of the hackle. I have the hackle pliers so that they're in line with the stem. And we wind. First turn is tight up against the body of the fly. The next turn we'll pull the fibres back and tight in touch again, in front again. And touching turns again in front. And one more. Each turn pull back the fibres so that you don't set them out of place. Now we'll ease the hackle point forward slightly, leaving room to bring the thread up behind it, and trap the stem with a couple, 3 turns there. Now push the thread out of the way with the left hand fingers and go in with the scissors. Open the scissors and just push. That way it'll slice it off. Now again, 2 fingers and a thumb, and ease the fibres back and just neaten the head, making it tapered as you go. Not too many turns, but just make the thing a reasonably neat job. There we go. Now all we have to do is pull a little bit of thread off to allow me to make the 4-turn hand whip finish. I use my fingers. Some people like a whip finish tool, and some people even use a half hitch tool. As long as it holds, that's all that matters. Slide the loop up on a needle, pull it tight. Always pull in line with the hook rather than across. Open the scissors, slice off. There's the fly finished, all bar for a spot of varnish which I'm putting on here. Some people use a needle. A friend of mine gave me this dentist tool, which is neater actually. And there we have the Black Pennell.